I know you watch Jim Sterling. What's one of your favorite one of his characters? I actually don't watch Jim Sterling that much. I follow him on Twitter a little bit, though I unfollowed him recently. I found his reaction to the Ooblets controversy to be kind of distasteful. Not necessarily because of his reaction, but I feel like Jim Sterling feeds into a bad mindset. Even though he doesn't mean to, he definitely like latches onto negativity and amplifies it really hard. And so when people saw his video on like, Ooblets is going to be on Ooblets is going to be on the Epic Game Store, blah 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 blah. And then like people just started brigading them. I know he took the video down, but it's kind of one of those where it's like I can't help but associate that attitude with like effectively de facto sending hordes of rabid fans at people. And I know it's not his fault, nor his intention to do those things, but it's just like I don't know, I've just seen a lot of like bad brigading lately, and so anything related to that actually bothers me a bit. Because like the last couple of years have been rife with the internet mobs trying to police the world, and sometimes it does some good. I mean, we've definitely seen a lot of like well, I'm gonna say like straight up predators being exposed lately. I think that's actually like a really good thing. But I prefer my games, my game reviews and my game news to be a little bit more impartial. So I actually switched over to Angry Centaur Gaming for reviews, but even then I don't care that much. So I don't know. I'm still looking for somebody to fill the void that Total Biscuit has left, but I haven't found anybody yet. I'd love to start doing reviews myself. This area is very yellow. Hello, Sodium. Give me. Because I don't know. I don't think we're going to see anybody that's that much of a, like, industry titan. And I try and emulate him where I can. But even then, like, there is no replacing that man. And he got some things wrong. He definitely did the same thing. Got involved in controversies that he probably should have avoided. And he definitely said some shitty things that he never should have said. But comparatively, he was a good dude that just mainly cared about the games industry being righteous, I guess, for the most part. And, like, I miss that. Let's see. And I will admit, like, I think part of my exposure to Total Biscuit was a little bit more casual. I specifically didn't follow him on Twitter because I knew he weighed in on more stuff, but I watched a lot of his reviews, specifically. Let's see. And so, like, his reviews were very... I'm not going to say untainted, but, like, when he talked about a game to, like, say what's good, what's bad, that was just pure informed opinion. Without, like, I'm going to say an agenda. There were a couple with an agenda. Very specifically, what was the Gary's Incident game? He definitely had a beef there, but, like, I don't know. They kind of deserved that. Okay. Okay. After that comment, I gotta ask, do you think it's a responsibility of a public speaker, someone who does news entertainment, as I like to call it, is to be balanced in his opinion? Okay, I'm getting a little lost on that one. Do you mean, like, should people like me or, you know, public-facing internet figures be balanced and fair in their opinions? Because... yes and no. I think it's kind of one of those where it's like, I think you can be biased as hell as long as you're honest about it. And maybe that's the better way to put it, is that I think honesty is more important. Because, like, I will straight up say, like, I am actually biased towards, well, somewhat towards, say, the Epic Games Store over some other companies, if only because, like, they actually have a lot of tools for me that I like. None of you guys get to reap the benefit of them, but, you know, Steam has never, ever, like, actually bothered to even respond to an email, and I actually have, like, a contact at Epic Games if I need, like, something. And that's really cool. I've never done it. I've never used it. I don't know why I would ever use it, but, like, that level of goodwill specifically always has made me a little bit more positive towards the platform. And so, you know, is that a fair thing? No. In fact, I think the platform has problems. I don't like the fact that Tencent has its fingers in there, but I think that's a separate problem entirely because there's too many foreign interests, like, meddling in countries. Like, I get really spooked when I hear about, like, yeah, and so-and-so country just bought out, like, oh, what is it? Isn't this, like, a really big issue in the, Caribbean? I don't know specifically if it's, which country it is, but I know there was something about, like, Chinese factories specifically, not hiring natives or, like, only hiring natives for low-rung stuff, and that's spooky. Because they effectively move in, get all the business, but don't actually give much back to the you know, the country it's in, apart from, like, maybe tax dollars. And, like, I don't think any country, American, Chinese, Russian, British, whatever, like, that's too imperialistic for me, and it's spooky, and I don't like it. And so I feel like, you know, with stuff like Tencent trying to get their fingers into as much of the games industry as possible. So far, they've proven themselves to be neutral at best, which is nice. But, well, kind of nice. But, like, I'm sure we'll hear something at some point, and it's going to be like, oh shit, this is not a good company. Oh shit, they're everywhere. Oh shit, what do we do? But that's also part of the reason why I'm such a big proponent of the indie games industry, because, like, it's very rare to have an indie game studio that is bought out by, like, a larger company, so it always tends to be a little bit more, well, honest. Though, to be fair, sometimes it can kind of bite me in the ass a little bit. Easy example would be, I don't know how many of you guys know of the game Ion Maiden or Ion Valkyrie, because they got sued by Iron Maiden. That is stupid, by the way. I feel bad for the devs for that one, but they're also the dev studio that was, like, including a bunch of homophobic stuff and were really, really rude when people called them out on it. And it's just like, I don't like developers that are just pointlessly rude to their fans in, like, an actually offensive manner. Like, I guess I brought up the Ublitz situation. They were sassy, and I can get why people were upset by that, but, like, the reaction they got was insane. Whereas I know, like, God, I want to say the Ion Valkyrie people were, like, straight up, they weren't throwing, well, they had slurs in the game, which, like, that's not impressive, and then they were trying to, like, defend that. It was definitely not, it was definitely a little bit more derogatory. It reminded me of the abusive comments that I get on YouTube sometimes when I try and talk about, like, hey, you know, I'm a proponent of LGBT stuff, or, hey, I'm a proponent of people getting paid a living wage because holy shit, poverty kills families and nations and then the world and stuff. And then everybody starts calling me a snowflake cuck, and then I'm just like, well, I have lost all interest in talking to you, person. Seriously, the moment anybody, like, devolves into an ad hominem in an argument, in my eyes, they have lost. And I lose a lot of respect for people that do that. So, like, sometimes too much honesty is a bad thing, but I'd still prefer the honesty because then I know who the people are. Because I would rather know a developer's a scumbag, so I never touch their game, than find out after the fact, like after I've covered their game. Oh, what was one? There was a game I played a while, not even a while back. It was a couple months ago. It was a really cool roguelike third-person shooter. It was super. I have the videos unlisted. I could go find them, but I'm not gonna. I don't even want to say the name. I think I played it around the same time as Void Bastards, but effectively you were like crawling through a dungeon. You could attack in melee, you could roll, but the roll didn't give you iframes. And there were like a couple of different guns. Some were like spread fire, some were rapid fire. And it was a neat game. I liked the idea of it. And I found out, I want to say like within 8 hours of posting both videos, that it was actually stolen. That the developer had effectively lifted somebody else's idea and assets, and I think even code. They probably just like somehow managed to reverse engineer it, or just rip apart the game file somehow. I don't know how it happened, but it was a totally lifted game from some other developer on itch.io. And I was so mad because, like, what am I supposed to do now? You know, I've got this video promoting this game. I took it down because I don't want to support that kind of thing. And I wish I'd known beforehand. To some degree, I wish I hadn't known at all, but it's better to know now than you know, never. God. Same deal, actually. This is a little bit more recent, I guess. And obviously, like, always take everything with a grain of salt. Like, I don't want to just immediately, like, say, like, you're guilty. But, like, there's the thing about Alec Holoka and Jeremy Soule the other day. Was it oh shit, it was yesterday. Alec Holoka was one of my, like, dream, well, not dream developers, but, like, I wanted to be an indie dev when I was in college. Like, I wanted to get into indie development because I sincerely wanted to be a game developer. At first I wanted to be a webcomic artist, but then the indie boom happened. And then I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. You know, look at how pretty Braid is. Look at how pretty Aquaria is. And now my problem is, Aquaria is kind of tainted. For those of you that don't know, Alec Holoka apparently is not on the up and up as far as his interactions with women. Same thing with Jeremy Soule, in fact. And I love Jeremy Soule's music. He did a lot of soundtracks that I really, really enjoyed. And finding out that, like, yeah, these guys are both dirtbags, it kind of does poison the games for me. I have the same problem with Stardock. I love Stardock games, but their CEO is, as far as I can tell, not a good guy. Let's see, what other companies are like this? Riot Games. The Aquaria is supposed to be a trilogy too, right? I've never beaten it, and it was always one of those that I wanted to play. I just never had the time. But it could have been. I don't think they ever had any intention of making more. If I had an unlimited budget, what kind of game would you make? I've already scanned that sucker. Huh. I mean, I've answered this, and my answer changes every single time. Largely, it depends on what I want right now. I guess my easy answer would be what Decay of Logos promised, but good. That'd be a good option. So, for frame of reference, I really liked Breath of the Wild, but the dungeons stunk. And, I really liked Souls-likes, but I find them to be kind of drab. And so I'd absolutely love to see a more open world, like, huge world to explore. Everything is just kind of, scaled to whatever you currently are, so maybe there's just no leveling system, everything's just side grades so you get more fun. Well, you get more fun alternatives, but none of it is, yeah, learn nothing new. I should probably find a new planet to start exploring in a, non-Viking. Yeah, why don't we do that? Because I'm just spinning my wheels here. But it would be kind of fun to have a game that kind of looks like Breath of the Wild. Maybe a little bit more colorful, even. Like, I love color a lot when it comes to video games, and so I always prefer to have the games that I play be bright and almost cartoony. Definitely stylish. Hand-painted? It would need to be co-op. Actually, you know what? Let's change this a little bit. If you could give something like World of Warcraft's content, you know, the depth and breadth of world design and whatnot, but with a gameplay closer to what we had in Remnant from the Ashes and Dark Souls and so on and so forth, like a proper action RPG open world like co-op game. And I realize I'm just chucking buzzwords here, and these are buzzwords that people hate, but I would love that so much, because playing Remnant from the Ashes was such a fun game for me. It was such a solid co-op experience. You know, we were fighting bosses, there were dungeons and stuff. The things that held it back for me was the fact that nothing was hand designed, so I don't really have a whole lot of desire to play it again. Also, that the story and then the last boss are kind of butts, which also hold the game back pretty hard. It seems like the kind of game that would be amazing later on. This is part of the reason why I like the idea of stuff like, I mean, honestly, Destiny. Destiny is kind of closer to, let's see. Destiny is closer to kind of my ideal MMO than most are, just because I like the more involved combat system. But I would love it if there was, like, you could be a DPS with melee, or a bow, or a gun, or magic, or something like that. Or you can actually have the healer, or you can have the tank. I know, like, Terra gets kind of close to that, but I don't want it to be an MMO, necessarily. Because my problem with a lot of MMOs is they're designed to keep you there eternally. And that always gets me, bothers me a little bit. Because I'm not actually super interested in Skinner boxes. You know, I've been watching a lot of people play, WoW Classic, recently. No other S-rank stuff. Let's see. But, WoW Classic, it's such an interesting thing for me. It's fun seeing a lot of people get back into it, but I'm watching them play. And, you know, people talking about, like, it took us hours and we finally hit level 10. And I'm like, oh god, I don't think I can do that. Yeah, no WoW Classic stream here. Gotcha. If I was invited by my friends to join them, I'd probably do so. But that'd be about it. And I'd have to know that they're going to do more than, like, 2 sessions. Because I have nothing against WoW Classic, but it's such a lonely experience for me at this point. I know I can play with other people, but again, I'd rather play stuff like, I'd rather play stuff like Destiny or Guild Wars 2 that are free to play, so I can just pick them up and play them whenever I want. It's harder with a game with a sub fee, because it's just like, well, now I'm stuck. Okay, right. Missions. Mission board. Do we got anything interesting here? Yeah, ours hit level 10, no thanks. Yeah, like, we beat Remnant from the Ashes in, I'm gonna say, 15 to 20. Let's see. It's merchant standing. Okay, let's see, while we're here, this is the system I'm on, so I'm gonna rename this one to Okay, I'm gonna leave that one there for at least a little while. But, like, it took me quite a number of hours to beat Remnant from the Ashes. But despite its problems, I liked it. There was no sub fee, and then I was done. But stuff like WoW Classic and whatnot, like, you pretty much have to play that game like a full-time job if you actually want to get, like, the full content out of it. And so, like, I can totally see why people enjoy it a lot, and why a lot of people are getting back into it. Because there's some serious nostalgia value there. It's just, there's no way I'm going to be able to put in nearly enough time to actually justify playing it more than, like, a handful of times. And so, if Blizzard were to come out with, like, a World of Warcraft 2 with tighter gameplay and, like, a proper action RPG system, I'd be down on that, like, down with that immediately, if only because the gameplay would kind of carry it together. I can't really do the old, like, just press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to use your abilities. I lose something there, especially because, like, the world doesn't feel good to me anymore. So did I do any more of that spaceship game? Probably, Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. I was actually hitting a lot of, copyright issues. Let's see. I was getting an insane amount of, Can I do this? That's weird that it wasn't letting me warp around, but that's fine. Anyway, yeah, I was just getting hit by a ton of copyright issues with Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, and so I'd have to turn off the music entirely, which, yeah, I can do. It was just frustrating. I might go back to that one. It's one of those where I think by the time I'm like done and dusted for everything required for PAX, I'm actually do we not have a space station on this sector? I don't see a space station here. Oh wait, there it is. I'm right next to it. Go figure, I don't see it. It's behind me. Anyway. But yeah, I might go back to it. It's just hard. Let's see, what was my opinions of Black Desert's control system? I remember enjoying Black Desert's gameplay. I just absolutely hated the, I just absolutely hated the grind loop again. Because I don't want to have to fight 50 boars for their I don't want Gortusk lizard. I don't want Gortusk livers. If I have to grind something, it better be fun as hell. Or so zen that I'm fine with it. Okay, browse missions, kill creatures. What about 30 to 50 wild boars in 3 to 5 minutes? Oh god, that was such a dumb... That was such a dumb thing. Oh, hey. Go pirates. Let's see. But no, like, I don't mind grinding, like, a really interesting dungeon with friends over and over again. Or, like, fighting, like, a horde mode or something like that. But I would much rather play games that are immediately and inherently engaging, and then can be put down and, like, left for later, if that makes sense. Oh, let's see. Nothing there. Oh, wait, this guy sells... Well, actually, how many nanites do I even have? I do actually have some nanites. So whatever happened with God Eater 3? I actually, that's another one of those that I really, really would like to go back to and finish. What happened to God Eater 3 was I was living in a hotel for... let's see, I don't think we not need that. I'm trying to get a better scanner module, but all the scanner modules I'm seeing are bad. But yeah, God Eater 3 got nuked entirely because I moved from Kansas to here. Easy explanation for why is it's really hard to cover games when you're like moving halfway across the country and then living in a hotel for a while. I do not know what planet I'm on, but that should be fine. Let's see, bot house. But yeah, pretty much life happened to God Eater 3. I'd love to go back to it, but that's kind of the lie that I tell to myself every single time I pick up or put down a game. Or, you know, I put a game on hiatus, is like, I have the full intention of getting back to every game that I stop playing. The problem is, I just can't. I just don't have the time half the time. Part of the reason why I like roguelikes so much. I actually almost did that with No Man's Sky Beyond. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna come back to this as soon as we're I'm just gonna come back to this as soon as I'm back from PAX. And then I thought about it for a while and I'm like, that's bullshit. That's not happening. If I let this series drop for too long, I'm just not going to be able to. And so, yeah, that's why we're here recording it right now as opposed to... how's my life support doing? I don't know. My life support is doing way too well. Yeah, for example, Tyranny, still waiting for that ending. Yep. Also, Pathfinder Kingmaker. Also, Pillars of Eternity, probably, kind of, sort of. Let's see, picked it up again, and feels good with all the updates. Cool. I mean, straight up, if enough people want me to play that again, I could. I mean, I might still do it anyway, especially if there's, like, a good sale or something. Because that's the kind of game that I wouldn't mind having a bunch of people just carry my ass through and just be like, help! Shame or no shame, I don't care. Okay, hold up. How many times am I supposed to... How many times am I supposed to refine this? Let's see. Oh, not Tyranny. We're talking about we're talking about God Eater 3. Tyranny does not have multiplayer. If Tyranny had multiplayer, you better believe I would have finished that game. Any game that has substantive good multiplayer is inherently easier for me to finish. Oh, that just turns into ferrite dust. That's less interesting. Yeah, too many games in this conversation. It's hard to work with and hard to keep up with. Anyway, Wander, did you ever play ESO? I tried playing ESO once and it was boring. At least for me. It might actually be a legitimately, like, really, really good game. I just, let's see, power. Can I make a switch? No, I can't make switches. I don't have the capacity. Okay, so Amber Iris. There we go. An interesting Project 5 Sightseer. Haven't even heard of it, but again, it's probably not coming out within the next week or two. Shell wanted to read all the lore, and I wouldn't let her. That's because the lore took like half an hour of a 2-hour session, and that was like a smidge. Like, you can read all the lore you want when I'm not there, Shell. I'll read it on the wiki later and talk about it. Because it's so much easier. Well, it's so much harder for me to like sit still for a while and do lore. I mean, if it was one of those where I could just run around questing without you, I'd be down. Or there's a lot of answers, but the answer is just I don't want to sit around on my ass listening to hours worth of... I think the thing is irrelevant lore is my problem. Control, I will gladly kind of zone out and listen to lore for a while, and actually be pretty cool with it. Because Control is an interesting game, and all of the lore is immediately relevant. These dogfights got kind of easy, but then again, we were only fighting 1-star pirates so far. But, like, I love lore in games like Prey, in BioShock, and Control, because they're games where... let's see. It's one of those... I don't really know if there's much of a reason to stick around on this specific one.